Welcome to another great summary of a fight that no recent Mike Tyson fan can afford to miss. In today's video, we'll go back in time to the night Tyson fought against all odds. Not only was he facing the biggest opponent of his entire career, but also the toughest. We're talking about the 6-foot Cuban heavyweight, Jose Ribalta, who endured inconceivable damage inflicted by the most ruthless version of Iron Mike the world had ever seen. Before we dive right into it, remember that if you enjoy content both inside and outside the ring, you can subscribe to my channel for more summaries like the one you're about to enjoy. Standing at 5.5 feet, Mike Tyson was the shortest heavyweight contender to make it into the top 10 of the Ring magazine by the fall of 1986. Many boxing fans might recall this era as the New Era, the land of giants. This is because the majority of the best contenders and champions from that point onward stood over 6 feet tall. While there have been tall contenders and champions in the past, they often were labeled as unskilled circus acts, with their success attributed strictly to their size and weight advantage. This notion changed dramatically with the introduction of world-class trainers like Eddie Futch and Emmanuel Stewart, who were obsessed not only with utilizing the physical advantages a significantly taller fighter possesses, but also with making their boxing skills comparable to those of any shorter fighter. Once Riddick Bowe and Lennox Lewis became dominant forces in the division, the big men began to rule the roost. Jose Ribalta was one of those classic long-range fighters who dominated the amateur boxing circuit in his youth due to his size perfectly complementing the boxing skills he learned at the 5th Street Gym, the home of Cuban boxing in Miami. When Jose turned pro in 1982, he was the number 2 amateur heavyweight in America and used his skills to defeat his supposed superiors like David Jocko in the following years. During Tyson's build-up in July 1986, Jose seemed to reach his peak, not only physically but mentally as well. He was confident that he would be the man to end Mike's undefeated streak of 25 fights. Tyson faced Ribalta at the Trump Plaza Hotel in Atlantic City on August 17, 1986. The tension between them created a legendary atmosphere that engulfed the fortunate 1,000 attendees. Tyson's grimaces finally met Ribalta's defiant eyes, making it clear to the audience that they were in for a special night in the world of heavyweight boxing.
Just as expected, Tyson has developed as a fighter.
A classic right hook to the body combined with an uppercut knocked down Ribalta just before the end of the second round. The power of the uppercut alone would have been enough to send 99.9% of humans on Earth into the realm of shadows.
Drops. So counter right hand by Mike Tyson is inviting. And there was an...
But, to the audience's surprise, Ribalta got back up with enough stability to continue throwing punches until the end of the round. Recognizing Ribalta's resilience, Tyson decided to adopt a more conventional strategy for the next rounds, trying to hit Jose in the body to soften his core.
Take a look at some of these body shots. I wonder if they're... getting off the quicker punches there.
By the end of the 7th round, it was evident that Tyson was beginning to target higher areas with his attacks, maintaining the same ferocity he had in the first round. He was throwing punches with the speed and power of a man who had barely broken a sweat.
Mike would like to, or as Kevin Rooney in his corner would like him to. That was a good left hand.
After combinations that would have put anyone to sleep in the 8th round, even Tyson seemed surprised that Ribalta kept getting back up. Instead of withdrawing from the fight and allowing it to be a unanimous decision, he seemed to want to entertain the fans by facing the situation head-on. It wasn't until the 10th round that a determined Tyson could be seen trying to knock out Ribalta in a way that any boxer or trainer would be proud of.
Continue, he said, yeah, hell yeah. That's a fighter.
While it was evident that Tyson had defeated Ribalta, reporters didn't seem to let it go. They played with the probability that his punches might not have been as powerful as claimed since it took him so long to knock out Jose. Despite the provocations, Tyson showed not only respect for his opponent, but also a lot of class in his response. He pointed out that Ribalta was one of the toughest and bravest opponents he had faced up to that point. Jumping a bit ahead in time, in 2014, Mike Tyson would give an interview to The Ring magazine, where the fight with Ribalta would be brought up once again. There, he praised Jose's resilience, noting that he was the most durable fighter he had ever had to face. He also highlighted the immense power Jose possessed, stating that some of his punches had been among the most challenging he had to endure. If Tyson had never faced Ribalta, there probably wouldn't be a competitor today who could be attributed with making such a brave effort to withstand Iron Mike's punches in the ring for so long. Unfortunately, after the fight, Ribalta's career took a downward turn. In fact, he retired after being defeated 5 times consecutively in 1999. But that doesn't mean his aspirations in the world of professional boxing were over. To this day, he still expresses his strong desire to have a rematch with Tyson. In fact, many users claim that on his Facebook page, he keeps referencing it to the point of seeming obsessive. Surely Tyson laughs at all these provocations. After all, one encounter was more than enough to prove who the king was. However, with the way boxing is evolving today, we never know who will return to the ring. All we can do is stay tuned and hope that if history repeats itself, it will give us a memorable showdown. After learning about the Ribalta versus Tyson story, do you truly believe that the success of larger boxers can solely be attributed to their height, or does it have to do with their skills? Leave us your opinion in the comments. Also, let us know if you think it's a good idea to see these two legends face off in the ring once again.
10 times a day, let alone the press asking me how tall I am. People in general saying, you're not as big as I thought you was. Guys your size doing all that damage. I always thought you were bigger. I think, it's to my advantage because most fighters are used to fighting opponents 6'3", 6'2", the average heavyweight. And I feel that I use it to my advantage because I move my head, I'm very quick, and I'm low to the ground, and it's very difficult to hit me.
Tyson is considered one of the greatest heavyweight boxers of all time. He reigned as the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world from 1987 to 1990, winning his first 19 professional fights by knockout and 12 of them in the first round. Claiming his first belt at the age of 20, he held the record as the youngest boxer to win a heavyweight title and was the first heavyweight boxer to simultaneously hold the WBA, WBC, and IBF titles, as well as the only heavyweight to unify them in succession. Tyson's height of 1.78 m never stopped him from knocking out even the tallest opponents. Today, I will show you the 7 heavyweights much taller than Tyson who could not drift to the Iron Mike. 7. Mike Tyson vs. Andrew Golota, October 20th, 2000 at the Palace, Auburn Hills, Michigan, USA. The fight between Mike Tyson and Andrew Golota was one of the most anticipated fights of the 1990s. Tyson, a former world heavyweight champion and one of the greatest boxers of all time, faced the 1.93 m pole and Olympic winner in heavyweight boxing at the 1988 Seoul Olympics. Golota is a talented and respected boxer in the ring. The fight started in an intense manner and Golota seemed to have the upper hand in the early rounds. Tyson tried to punch hard, but Golota responded with combinations and good footwork. However, in the third round, Tyson connected with a hard right hook that put Golota on the canvas. Despite this knockdown, Golota got up and continued to fight bravely. Both boxers exchanged powerful punches, but Tyson seemed to take the upper hand as he landed another hard punch that staggered Golota, who ended up abandoning the fight, canceling the bout.
They're throwing popcorn soda. So the end of 2 rounds. Look at that. Oh my goodness.
6. Mike Tyson vs. Frank Bruno, February 25, 1989 in Las Vegas, USA at the Hilton Hotel. Franklin Roy Frank Bruno, the 1.91m Brit, who became World Boxing Council heavyweight champion in 1995 and also won the European heavyweight title with a knockout over Sweden's Anders Eklund. He faced Kid Dynamite Tyson. The fight went several rounds, with Tyson trying to find a way to hit Bruno and Bruno trying to hold his defense and throw decisive counter punches. Tyson knocked Bruno down with a strong combination of punches. Bruno recovered and started throwing backwards pretty well and was successful using clinch to not let Tyson get on him, but it didn't matter at all as the Iron Fist finally found his opponent's head in the 5th round.
Con dureza Tyson ha aplicado buenas combinaciones con las dos manos, quitado por los golpes que le lanza el campeón. Bueno, una combinación tremenda. Ahora la derecha doblada arriba, nueva derecha, izquierda y Richard Steel británico. Ha sido una reacción visceral, pero una reacción fantástica por parte.
5. Mike Tyson vs. Lou Savarese, June 24, 2000 at Hampden Park in Glasgow, Scotland. The American Lou Savarese, who was not only a boxer but also a mixed martial artist with a height of 196m. At Hampden Park in Glasgow, Scotland, the fight took place and Tyson exploded with impressive speed with a left hook and dropped his opponent in just 15 seconds. Lou looked like a cloth doll falling to the canvas.
See, of course, in the sky blue trunks. It's the size. Caused. Oh, there is the first. No, he hasn't. One is up about 4, and he's in big.
But Savarese managed to recover quickly, to which Tyson responded with quick and powerful punches, pinning Lou Savarese in the corner. Such was his adrenaline that he didn't even realize that the referee was in the way trying to stop Mike's offensive against Lou Savarese. Even the referee John Foyle was hit and fell to the ground, but got up shouting to Mike Tyson that the fight was over. Eventually they managed to stop the onslaught and the referee declared a win for Mike Tyson by technical knockout. A fight that only lasted 38 seconds. 4. Mike Tyson vs. Jose Ribalta, August 16, 1986 at the Trump Plaza Hotel in Atlantic City, USA. When Tyson was 20 years old and had a record of 25 wins and 23 by knockout, he fought the Cuban Jose Ribalta with his imposing stature of 1.98m. The Cuban had a long list of accomplishments as an amateur where he won the Golden Gloves tournament several times. With only 3 years of active performances, Ribalta was in the top 10 of the WBC rankings and was offered a fight against the young Mike Tyson. They faced each other in the middle of the ring, surprising the audience with a huge size discrepancy. Literally, Mike was at least a head shorter than his opponent. However, it didn't help him deal with the youngster. The Cuban was trying to work with a jab and keep the distance, but Mike's body movement put him under pressure. Right in the second round, the American scored a first knockdown. Mike landed an uppercut and the Cuban was covering his head. This one was hurting his abdomen so hard it forced him to drop his hands.
Tyson's body punches are apt. It's a good left to the chin.
Mike continued to explode with hooks and uppercuts as the fight progressed. Mike's left hook knocked Ribalta down twice in rounds 8 and 10. The fight ended by knockout in the 10th round, with a win for the young Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson vs. Sammy Scaff, December 6, 1985 at the Hilton Center in Albany, New York, USA. This was a very interesting fight, especially as Tyson was only 19 years old at the time and was still building his reputation, had only 13 fights as a professional, and was untested against great opponents. The first to have such an honor was the American Sammy Scaff, who could give Tyson a hard time using his massive 1.96m size advantage. Mike was relentless on Scaff, who could not stop him with his arms outstretched. All he could do was throw a left hook and hope for the best. Mike was caught with this punch only once and then began to drill his opponent, with a mixture of hooks landing on Sammy's head, and he had no idea why it came. Tyson pressed his counterpart against the ropes and charged in with a monster left hook that broke his nose, and the fight was stopped immediately with a defeated Goliath with a bloodied face.
Throw wild punches, Sam.
Big left hook. And there is Scaff down.
His nose there.
He's breathing and nose is just pouring in one of those left hooks.
There might even be a tear on the side of that nose.
Mike Tyson versus David Jocko, January 11th, 1986 in Albany, New York, USA. David Jocko was one of the tallest opponents in Tyson's entire career with a height of 1.98m, but it was not worth much as it was a fight that was short-lived as Tyson proved his superiority in the ring. From the beginning of the fight, Tyson came out with a great physical demand, added to his great technique, which generated a great pressure to his rival. The fight lasted no more than 2 minutes and 16 seconds. During that short time, Tyson showed his great power of fists, connecting a series of blows that amazed the audience.
11th of January, and if they fought until next New Year, he wouldn't win this fight. He's taken 2 counts. 3.
Cada uno de esos golpes fue preciso, potente y letal, lo que generó que Jocko fuera derribado al suelo en 2 ocasiones con un gancho en bucle. Mike seguía lanzando tiros hasta que un victorioso gancho de derecha puso fin a esta pelea.
He's taken 2 counts. 3.
Mike Tyson versus Tyrell Biggs, October 16th, 1987, Atlantic City, New Jersey, USA. Tyson had proved that to beat him height was not an advantage. It was already known that to beat him on the canvas you had to be as fast as him and possess pure physical power, and surprisingly there was such a guy in 1987 American Tyrell Biggs at 1.96m, who as an amateur won a gold medal at the 1984 Summer Olympics, having previously won bronze at the 1983 Pan American Games and gold at the 1982 World Championships, all in the super heavyweight division. During the first 2 rounds, Biggs tried to avoid Tyson's onslaught by keeping his distance and throwing hard left jabs at Tyson, while also trying to use his clear height advantage to avoid Tyson's power punches. Biggs had a solid first round, connecting with more than half of the jabs and limiting Tyson to just 3. Biggs would continue to use this tactic early in round 2, but Tyson was able to connect with a big left hook that split Biggs' lip open. In round 3, Biggs had all but abandoned his game plan and was overwhelmed by Tyson's power, and Tyson finally connected with a strong right hand that opened a cut around Biggs' left eye. Tyson would continue to dominate in rounds 5 and 6, constantly attacking Biggs with hooks and rights, though Biggs would survive both rounds without being knocked down. With 30 seconds remaining in round 7, Tyson hit Biggs with a left hook that sent Biggs to the canvas and nearly out of the ring.
Oh, that was a tremendous left hand.
Biggs, who was able to answer the referee's count at 9. Tyson would continue his assault as soon as Biggs got up and quickly knocked Biggs down again, this time with a left hook, prompting referee Tony Orlando to stop the fight and award Tyson the win by technical knockout. Career professional Mike Tyson esta full of glorious moments, eclipsed by some controversies. When he stepped into the ring against giants, you could see a beast with enough strength to knock down anyone in front of him. In this video, we'll take you through those fights that live in the mind of any fan of the legend, even if he didn't always leave the ring with a victory. We start our top with a contest that brought Mike Tyson back to earth. Held on February 11, 1990, at the Tokyo Dome in Tokyo, Japan, it was one of the rare venues where Mike Tyson could be seen losing a fight. It was Tyson's 10th defense of the World Boxing Council heavyweight title, the 9th for the World Boxing Association heavyweight title, and the 7th for the International Boxing Federation heavyweight title. No one thought Douglas really stood a chance. After the death of his mother, 23 days before the match, it was believed that the boxer wouldn't have his head in the game. However, Douglas managed to control the fight from the beginning, delivering strong jabs that tied Tyson's fists whenever he tried to go on the offensive.
Keep in mind that Carl Williams looked pretty loose and relaxed against Tyson until...
See, Mike has to be careful also because Mike's standing...
By the 5th round, damage to Tyson's left eye was visible, but 6 seconds before the end of the 8th round, Mike managed to knock down Douglas with a right hook that made it seem like all was not lost.
Here he's against the ropes. I've never seen.
And there's a right hand uppercut, and down goes Douglas.
Douglas would regain control for the 9th round and stagger Tyson with a powerful left that foreshadowed his end.
Wobbling. Tyson needs the ropes for support. Douglas wailing away. Tyson was on the verge of going down.
During the 10th round, Douglas would further hurt Mike on his last legs with a right hook, accompanied by a combination that would end with an unthinkable left punch that would knock Tyson down for the first time in his career.
Get in the shot that will finish things in his favor. What an uppercut by Douglas, and down goes Tyson.
As Tyson tried to gather his pride and get up, his legs kept wobbling. Thus, Octavio Marin, the referee, signaled the end of the match. After his bitter defeat in February, Tyson would enter the ring on December 8, 1990, to make it clear that it wasn't the last of him and that even the greatest have gray days. The fight took place at the Atlantic City Convention Center in New Jersey, USA, and was refereed by Frank Cappuccino, with Rocky Castellani, Jon Stewart, and Henry Eugene Grant as judges. Tyson entered the scene with the aggression that characterized his early triumphs, something that could be witnessed by the premature outcome of the fight. Alex Stewart entered the ring that night as if entering the wolf's den. Tyson, an animal with wounded pride, was not going to allow the year to end the same way it started. The fury of the Great Iron Mike was enough to knock Stewart down 3 times in the first round alone. Thus, at 2 minutes and 27 seconds into the episode, Mike Tyson was declared the winner by technical knockout.
That was a flush right hand.
Or else it's just a question of a few seconds.
That'll do it.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
But not everything would be joy. Larry Merchant would start a controversy around the fight when he began to criticize it, along with Tyson's involvement, who thought it clever to press HBO to fire Merchant, threatening to leave them. It ended up being Tyson's last fight with HBO, after signing an agreement with Showtime. With the arrival of a new millennium, the glorious days of the Great Iron Mike seemed to be getting closer to their end. Without knowing when to retire, Tyson would arrange a comeback only to receive a harsh reality check. On July 7, 2004, the whole world had its eyes on the Freedom Hall State Fairgrounds in Louisville, Kentucky, USA, for a fight refereed by Dennis Alfred and judged by Dan McClellan, Johnny Monson, and Steve Ryan. The youngest heavyweight champion in history was already 38 years old when, after 14 and a half years since the unprecedented defeat against Buster Douglas, after a long period of inactivity, he decided to step into the ring once again. Williams had enough strength to overshadow Tyson with a gigantic right hand at the end of the 4th round that had the power to make a legend stagger to the ropes.
Tyson in some difficulty here in round 4. Enter Holyfield and Lennox Lewis, and he's having his way. Firing shots. Big right hand by Daniel. Oh, that one got him. Off the ropes and down to the canvas.
The frenzied crowd of 17,273 people watched the stunned Tyson sit on the canvas, leaning against the ropes, bleeding from a cut over his right eye. Tyson seemed to pay no attention to Alfred, who gave him a long safety count to recover, and just waited for it all to end. The confidence Iron Mike had gained 17 months earlier when he defeated Clifford Etienne in 49 seconds vanished after 2 minutes and 51 seconds of the fourth round. And if we talk about the glorious years, 1987 was very fruitful for Tyson's career. On October 16th, at the Convention Hall in Atlantic City, New Jersey, he would enter the ring against Tyrell Biggs to solidify his legacy. Undefeated, Tyson had a personal vendetta against Biggs after he mocked when the national team did not select the then unified champion for the Olympics, depriving him of his dream of winning a medal. Biggs entered the ring as the #1 heavyweight contender for the WBA and IBF in front of a crowd of 12,000 people, only to receive left hooks that seemed to come from everywhere and punches that frequently landed on his jaw.
Tyson is applying the pressure from Mike Tyson. He can't get into that. That was a good shot by Tyson. He's trying for the head. Now we see him head.
The conclusion of the fight came at 2 minutes 59 seconds of the 7th round when Biggs finally had enough. Tyson would end up sending him flying towards his corner, causing his body to hit the canvas with his feet in the air. In this way, Tyson would achieve his 32nd professional victory without having been defeated.
Right now, he has no legs at all. And 10 seconds to go in a round. There's a left hand.
Another great moment for Tyson in 1986 occurred on August 17th when he entered the ring at the Trump Plaza Hotel in Atlantic City, New Jersey, to face Jose Ribalta. By the 10th round, Tyson was leading on the judges' scorecard. However, his decision would not be needed when, at 37 minutes into the episode, Tyson defeated Ribalta by technical knockout. If you've made it this far, we are grateful. And we remind you that the best way to support our content is by liking this video and subscribing, activating the notification bell. What other Tyson fight could be classified as a duel against a true giant of the discipline? We read you in the comments. The height of the great Iron Mike, from the beginning, was a reason to underestimate him. It prevented him from joining his country's Olympic team and fulfilling his greatest dream of winning a medal, but he worked on it until it became one of his greatest strengths. Throughout his journey, Mike Tyson had to face opponents of imposing stature but little skill in the ring. However, none were as arrogant as James Smith. Watch us until the end to witness a legitimate proof that size doesn't always matter. It had been 104 long days since his last fight when Mike Tyson decided to step into the ring against the giant James Smith in 1987. The entire boxing fan base eagerly awaited the next brawl in which Tyson would be the protagonist, but Smith seemed determined to deliver a surprise result, not only surviving against an opponent of Iron Mike's caliber, but also defeating him in a game he had become an expert in a short time. As part of his show, Smith made a couple of controversial statements before entering the ring. For him, defeating Tyson would be an everyday thing, and he was confident that his enormous body would be enough to overpower Mike, whom he promised to make smaller in the ring. But if there's one thing we know about the great Mike Tyson, it's that his measurements were never an obstacle for him. He had defeated large opponents before, and James Smith was just another hurdle on his path to glory. That night, Tyson entered the ring undefeated with a record of 28 wins, with 26 of them by knockout. For everyone, he was the one to beat. Anyone who could tarnish his flawless record would go down in history, and Smith was ready to face the beast to achieve it. James, the arrogant giant, didn't have as clean a record as Tyson. With 19 wins, only 14 of them by knockout, he had already been defeated 5 times before. For anyone who believed in statistics, Smith was about to become a snack for a hungry Tyson. The only thing Smith could rely on was the slim possibility that Tyson's youth might make him commit a rookie mistake. 13 years older at 33, he was about to enter the dangerous territory of a 20-year-old whose fists had been the downfall of some who came before him. The bell rang to start the fight, and Tyson emerged from his corner with the aggression that characterized him. The difference in size was evident, but the Great Iron Mike didn't hesitate for a second to face the giant Smith.
Right hand by Smith. Nowhere near it.
The first round passed, and the fight didn't turn into the battle everyone expected. But when the bell rang to end the round and Tyson returned to his corner, a provocation from Smith led Tyson to react by giving him a light punch in the face. It was a counterproductive event that affected Tyson's image but excited the audience. Smith had let his arrogant attitude provoke the wrong warrior, and he was about to pay for it. Tyson's aggression in the second round was colossal, and Smith had no choice but to rely on all the defensive techniques he knew while waiting for the opportunity to counterattack.
Smith for holding Mike Tyson. Smith got in a good...
The bell rang to end the second round, and once again, the boxers engaged in a skirmish beyond the time limits. While both remained on guard, it was now Smith who brought his fist closer to Tyson's face. Unknowingly, he was playing with fire, and the Great Iron Mike was known for igniting the ring many times in the past.
What has got in?
During the third round, the giant Smith tried to hurt Tyson with different combinations of punches, most of which Mike managed to evade. It seemed that the match was beginning to stabilize, and the chances of an early knockout were becoming less likely. By the fourth round, the provocations of the arrogant Smith were starting to take a toll on him, and Tyson was actively attacking his body to weaken him before going for his head. Consequently, James appeared increasingly exhausted.
Pressure may be trying to take a little bit of a blow here in this round. There's no way to train to fight.
In the fifth round, Tyson began to position himself above his rival. He wasn't just aiming his jabs and uppercuts at Smith's body, he also threw hooks, as if trying his luck, to start accumulating points on the judges' scorecards, even if he couldn't knock him out. Surprisingly, in the sixth round, Smith continued to taunt Tyson. He opened his arms, inviting Tyson to attack him. He strutted around as if he were winning the fight, although everyone in the audience was watching a different bout. At times, you could see the arrogant giant walking in circles around the ring, both arms down, as if facing Tyson were no big deal. An attitude that worked for the show. After the bell rang to end the round, the referee once again had to intervene and separate the boxers. The patience of the Great Iron Mike was running out, and he started the seventh round with a powerful left hook that made the arrogant giant recoil and wobble. Tyson was showing that he wasn't an opponent you entered the ring with for a circus show. However, losing patience in a sport where every move should be calculated puts you at a disadvantage. With almost 30 seconds left in the round, Tyson rushed to throw a right hook that missed, causing him to lose his balance and fall to the canvas.
There was a body shot. That was not a punch. That was not a punch.
The audience was astonished. No one could believe it. But it wasn't time to lament. Mike got up as quickly as he could, and the fight resumed. Tyson, now more aware of his body, went through the 8th and 9th rounds faithful to his strategy of weakening Smith's body. Eventually, you could see him landing a hook to Smith's head, although they weren't actively sought attacks. The 10th round was the beginning of the end, and without achieving a knockout, it was time for both boxers to focus on the judges' scorecards. The Great Iron Mike dominated the 11th round like a predator clinging to his prey. He knew that Smith's arrogant attitude was all he had going for him and that he wasn't an opponent with the strength or technique to make use of his physical capabilities to defeat a smaller boxer in size, but with an unbreakable spirit. Tyson became much more strategic, demonstrating why his record remained undefeated, attacking Smith at the right moments to accumulate points on the scorecards that would determine the winner of the contest. The 12th round was the last opportunity for the arrogant giant to prove that he was on par with Tyson. Returning the favor, Mike took the opportunity to lower his guard, lean his torso forward, and stick his tongue out at a James Smith who wasn't quick enough to respond with an attack to the mockery he had received. The audience went wild, but the message Tyson sent after that taunt was clear. Who's the fool now? James Smith tried to taunt Mike as well, but it wasn't funny anymore. He had shown that his terrible attitude was the only thing he could offer in the ring if his opponent was a boxer like the great Iron Mike. The bell rang to end the bout, and both boxers returned to their corners, unable to do more than await the verdict of the judges. Tyson had secured a couple of rounds in his favor, but Smith had demonstrated great endurance, finishing on his feet after 12 rounds against the young legend. The three judges agreed on their perspective of the fight they had witnessed, one where Tyson stood victorious against an arrogant giant who lacked the strength or technique to make use of his physical abilities and defeat a smaller opponent in size, but with an unbreakable spirit. So, Tyson added another victory to his record, and James Smith could only boast of being one of the few men who had withstood 12 rounds in the ring against the great Iron Mike. If you liked the video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe for more content about your favorite boxers. Now that you know the story, do you really believe that Mike Tyson was the clear winner of this contest? We're eager to read your comments.
Who would have thought that a fighter with a height of 5 feet 10 inches and hands of 71 inches could become the king of the heavyweights? Mike Tyson is a boxing phenomenon who managed to prove otherwise by facing opponents who outweighed him in height by 4 inches and wingspan by 8 inches. When Mike was in excellent physical condition, there was only one thing to expect: victory. In this video, we'll show you Mike Tyson's fights against true heavyweight giants. Before we start, I invite you to support us by subscribing and activating the little bell. And if you like the video, don't hesitate to leave your like. We begin our review with the fight against the long-armed American, Carl Williams, whose anthropometry compared to Iron Mike was simply staggering, as his height was 6 feet 4 inches, which was 6 inches taller than Mike's, and his reach exceeded Tyson's by 14 inches. With this size advantage, it might have seemed that Williams would have caused Mike a lot of trouble, but that was not the case, and the fight ended in the first round.
And here we see the left hook that put Williams down. Williams had so keep that right hand up and pow. There's that left hook. Is not the only man that can knock you out in the heavyweight division with one punch. Gets under that jab and counters with a beautiful left hook. Perfectly timed as Williams.
Next to experience Williams's fate was the unbeaten 6'5" Terrell Biggs, who tried to wrest the title of absolute champion from Mike, but ended up being just another boxer who, despite his shocking anthropometry in comparison to Mike, suffered a defeat by a devastating knockout.
Oh, that was a tremendous left hand, man. It wasn't even close. And what we've seen has happened so often.
The imposing Cuban Jose Ribalta, on August 17, 1986, faced the fearsome Mike Tyson in the ring, and as usual, his 6'5" height and 80-inch hands turned out to be just an ordinary number that Mike didn't mind in the least. In the 10th round, with a lethal series of punches, he destroyed poor Jose.
I want you both to stop protecting yourselves at all times. Right on, Tess. Good luck to both of you. Let's shake hands.
Okay, don't anybody go.
That was an uppercut by Ribalta, and Tyson right back with 2 shots to the body.
Funk it.
No holding, no holding.
Tyson is inviting. And there was an uppercut. What a shot.
Even though Mike was totally hooked on drugs and other noxious substances, he was still incredibly dangerous, and a blistering first-round knockout against Savarese, 6 foot 5 inches, is direct evidence of that.
Is this going to be another of them, you wonder? Julius Tyson through. It was like a kick from a horse, and the first time that puts Savarese on the floor and looks back. Is Savarese going to get through this opening round? Oh, another! It's all over. Oh, and he still wants to attack him, and John Coyle.
On March 7, 1987, James Smith faced WBC champion Mike Tyson in a unification fight. This proved to be one of the most unfavorable choices for him, as despite an 11-inch disparity in arm span and a 6-inch disparity in height, he suffered a resounding unanimous decision defeat by scores of 120 to 106 and 119 to 107 twice.
Just tested. No reason to suspect he's not the Iron Man. Oh, what a punch up right away he did. I think it's going to go to points anyway. In fact, I'm sure it isn't. Oh, now that right hand got through now. They're shouting up.
After defeating Smith and adding another title to his collection, Tyson faced another unification fight against the undefeated 6 foot 5 inch champion, with a professional record of 34 wins and, of course, no losses. His reach was also impressive, exceeding Mike's by 11 inches. However, this didn't do Tucker much good, as although Tony didn't lose convincingly, the scores of 118 to 113, 119 to 111, and 117 to 112 are also noteworthy.
And then he can throw his punches. Once again, though, now he's not following Tucker. Now he's inside again. The jab will sometimes work. Tucker and get him out of there. I think Tucker, on the other hand, is fighting a superb. There was a right hand by Tyson. And there was a big right hand.
6'6" David Boss Yako could safely be considered Mike's tallest opponent, who despite his enormous size lost the fight in the first round.
Like he's having to face in Albany tonight. Clipped with the right hand, lucky he was going back. Wasn't then, left hand. Tyson's 16th fight of the previous 15, 11 inside a round. Stopped it. Tyson thought he'd won, but the end surely can't be far. He's taken 2 counts. 3.
So much for today's video. Remember to subscribe if you like boxing, and don't forget to turn on the little bell. And if you liked the video, don't hesitate to leave your like. See you next time.
Oh, that was a tremendous left hand. Mike Tyson was inviting. And there was an uppercut. What a shot.
All boxing enthusiasts will know that Mike Tyson was a true beast inside the ring. However, there were contenders in his time who also seemed eager to snatch his wild kingdom away. Among them, Bob Sapp stood out, a highly famous fighter, especially in Japan, where he amassed a significant portion of his fortune. He is an expert in mixed martial arts, kickboxing, and professional wrestling. Discover below why the audience wanted a fight between a mixed martial artist and a former boxing champion. We know that our audience is mostly informed about boxing matches and may not know much about Sapp. That's why we will recount a bit of his career. Bob Sapp is a former professional American football player turned mixed martial artist. He is known for his imposing size and strength, earning him the reputation of being one of the most intimidating fighters in the history of this sport. In this essay, we will explore some of Sapp's most memorable fights, analyzing his strengths and weaknesses, and the techniques and strategies he used to overcome his opponents. Bob Sapp's fight against Ernesto Hust is one of the most iconic battles in kickboxing history. Sapp, who was much larger and stronger than Hust, used his size and power to dominate the early rounds. However, Hust, a veteran with excellent technique and experience, refused to give up and began to stage a comeback in the later rounds. The fight was a classic example of the clash between power and technique, with both fighters delivering devastating blows and showing incredible resilience. Bob Sapp's fight against Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira was a classic matchup between a striker and a grappler. Sapp, known for his attacking and defending skills against takedowns, faced Nogueira, an expert in grip and submission techniques. The fight was a closely contested affair, with both fighters showcasing their skills and testing each other's capabilities. In the end, Nogueira secured a victory by submission, but Sapp's performance earned him the respect of both fans and fellow fighters. However, on our channel, we have many of Mike Tyson's best fights, his highlights, and results in his worst moments. Would such an experienced beast like Bob Sapp be capable? Bob Sapp's fights were a testament to his incredible physical abilities and his willingness to take on all challengers. His battles against Hust, Nogueira, and Tamura showcased his strengths and weaknesses and demonstrated the importance of strategy and technique in combat sports. After Mike Tyson's successful career, many were looking for a possible contender to destroy him or at least bring him out of retirement for an exhibition match. The most talked about contender was Bob Sapp, whom many defended and saw as capable of defeating Tyson if given the chance. But it was all debates and discussions within the boxing and kickboxing community until Bob Sapp publicly expressed his desire to fight Mike Tyson in the ring after defeating Kimo Leopoldo on August 15, 2003. The entire community went into a frenzy. Many people expressed how excellent it would be to see this clash of titans, beast against beast, both in a ring and showing everything they could do. However, for some, it seemed crazy, as Mike Tyson was on the verge of retirement according to many, and his decline, both physically and mentally, was evident. So, a significant part of the boxing community knew that Mike Tyson would not accept, but it should be considered that he likes challenges. Therefore, there was a minimal possibility that the boxing champion would accept this fight. In an interview, Mike Tyson mentioned that he learned about the event through his brother-in-law, and it initially made quite an impression on him. He had always expected an exhibition match against another boxer in his category, but never from a martial artist. Tyson's first question was, "Really?" And shortly after, he said, "What are the chances it would be in boxing?" This indicates that Tyson was indeed considering the fight in the near future. It seemed like the exhibition match was in talks, but they couldn't reach a formal agreement due to various issues, including the location, the format or discipline in which it would take place, and perhaps financial problems on both sides. Gradually, the news reached the right ears, and the pressure from the public was so much that the fight could become a reality very soon. The possibility of the fight made it to the news, suggesting that it was very likely to take place in 2003 or 2004. However, it never materialized. The first negative news came from Mike Tyson, stating that they couldn't reach an agreement that satisfied both parties or the organizers. But he kept the fire burning in case the proposal improved. He mentioned in an MMA interview, "What do you guys think if I'm in the ring against Sapp?" And quickly the debate was sparked on radio, television, and even nowadays on social media. "Mike, you and I and two of my best fighters against two of your best fighters." Mike Tyson accepted an exhibition match in 2020 against Roy Jones Jr., a good enough reason for people and Bob Sapp himself to stir the pot again. "Mike, now that you've stopped running, listen to me for a second. You and I and two of my best fighters against two of your best fighters. That's my challenge, fight me or fight my team," said Bob Sapp in a recent interview. But it hasn't led to anything, as Mike insists that at some point, the fight against Sapp would have been a reality, but the organizers changed the plans too much, and the proposal didn't appeal to him. So, we cannot attribute it entirely to fear on the part of the contenders. They simply couldn't reach an agreement with the organizers or didn't agree on the discipline for a fist fight. One of the most popular questions around boxing from the past era would be this one, as many are in favor of Tyson, others in favor of Sapp. Simulations of the fight have even been made in video games and with artificial intelligence, considering their physical characteristics and combat experience. It's one of the easiest ways to imagine a fight between two fighters and has been used for a long time to attract even more attention and generate controversy. For us, if Mike Tyson had accepted the fight in a boxing ring, or, more precisely, in the boxing discipline, he would have completely dominated. According to the numbers, Bob Sapp has not had good results in boxing, but he has in other disciplines, such as professional wrestling. Nevertheless, it would have been a highly anticipated fight if it were in kickboxing, being the most voted option so that both fighters would be comfortable in their fighting style. Similarly, in this discipline, we vote that Tyson would have won because in 2003, he was still in shape for an exhibition match and would have prepared for a fight against this formidable beast. Don't get us wrong, it would have been challenging to beat Sapp, but in our opinion, Tyson is more formidable in the ring than Bob Sapp according to the numbers. Unless Sapp had pulled off a surprise like Kevin McBride. For further examples, we have the case of Mayweather versus Conor McGregor, where the latter could never adapt to fighting a boxer, considering his physical build, and was clearly defeated, although not knocked out. With all this, leave us in the comments what you think the result of the fight would have been, Tyson or Sapp. And why? We'll read your thoughts. From early times, Mike Tyson became a legend for his ferocity in the ring. For many years, he not only remained the opponent to beat, but just surviving the scheduled rounds in a match against him, regardless of the judge's decision, was already a source of pride for his rivals. But over the years, new fighters emerge and grow with such strength that they carry in their fists the power to retire the legends that had long enjoyed glory. When Mike Tyson crossed paths with Lennox Lewis, he would experience a punishment similar to what he had already imposed on so many. But now, he would not be the executioner. Welcome. In today's video, we will tell you about the fight that drained the warrior spirit from Tyson's body, needing to be picked up by the referee and taken to his corner after a defeat that would mark the history of boxing. The tragic encounter would take place on June 8th of the year 2002, and all those who wanted to witness the fight had to make sure to reserve their seat at the Pyramid in Memphis, Tennessee, USA. With the arrival of a new millennium, new promises also came to the discipline. And Lewis had done a phenomenal job so far, leading him to claim world titles that he would now have to defend. This fight would mean Lewis's first defense of the WBC, IBF, and the ring heavyweight titles, so everyone was eager to see if he could maintain them once he stepped into the ring against the man who still held the record as the youngest heavyweight champion in history. The fight was officially announced on January 22nd of the same year, during a press conference in New York. The first to appear was Tyson, who took the stage and made sure to look in the direction where Lewis was supposed to come out. When Lewis took the stage, Tyson quickly walked toward him. The scene heated up even more when a Lennox bodyguard stepped between the fighters and pushed Mike back. As a result, the Great Iron Mike quickly assumed a fighting stance and threw a left punch at the bodyguard, fortunately missing. While Lewis raised his fists and threw a punch, dozens of boxing officials and members from both camps climbed onto the stage. So many shoves occurred that both fighters ended up on the floor, causing a cut on Tyson's forehead. But Lewis would not escape unharmed, as it would later be revealed that Mike, in a somewhat comical move, bit his leg. Jose Suleiman, the president of the WBC, in the midst of the chaos, became unconscious after hitting his head on a table. This would, a bit further in time, result in a lawsuit filed on August 1st of the year 2002 for $56 million against Lewis and Tyson. Originally, the fight had been planned to take place in Las Vegas on April 6th, but the Nevada State Athletic Commission voted 4-1 to deny Tyson a license on January 29th, as did several other states. In the end, Memphis secured the venue for the match under the promise of a site fee of $12.5 million, guaranteeing both fighters the hefty sum of $17.5 million. The judges for the fight would be Alfred Bakwana, Anik Hontonkum, and Bob Logist, while Eddie Cotton would referee the match to ensure it was as clean as possible. Tyson entered the ring as a challenger, as he had done so many times before. His record remained impressive, with 49 victories, 43 of them by knockout, and only 3 defeats. Lewis, on the other hand, had a record of 39 victories, 30 of them by knockout, 2 defeats, and 1 draw. From the sound of the opening bell, Tyson showed a strong offensive, pushing Lewis back against the ropes. However, Lennox would not be intimidated and stood firm against a beast he knew he could tame. By the end of the first round, Tyson must have realized that his strategy had only worked in that initial advance. After that, he was unable to move the fight from the center of the ring to corner Lewis, as he had done with so many of his victims before, and pressure him until he broke. As soon as he could, Tyson jumped into the second round with the same aggressiveness. Occasionally, he seemed to control the pace of the fight when Lewis used his good foot coordination to move around the ring, trying to dodge his attacks.
That's not what you want to see.
Every now and then, Cotton asked Lennox not to hold Tyson, fueling the illusion among the audience that the Great Iron Mike was figuring out how to defeat such a strong contender. During the third round, with Lennox taking more chances to attack Tyson, it became apparent how Mike was heading towards his body to gain some time. The pace of the fight began to clarify, and with both fighters entering an offensive mode, significant exchanges of blows seemed to have begun. Back in the corner, the wounds on Tyson's face were already foreshadowing the tragic end of this bout. The fourth round began, and Tyson was in trouble. Lewis not only attacked him fervently, but also pushed him when he tried to throw himself at his body to ensure that the punishment he was beginning to impose would not be interrupted. Lennox began landing more punches on Tyson's face and body, and less than 15 seconds from the end of the round, the Great Iron Mike fell backward onto the canvas after a strong right that surprised him as much as the rest of those present.
Hurt and slow Tyson is. He is a dangerous puncher.
Lewis leads on Tyson. Connect with a right hand.
For the fifth round, Lewis's confidence had increased. He managed to knock Tyson down and was ready to do it again. Mike, on the other hand, decided to change his fighting style to a solid defense, intending not to leave room for any mistakes that could cause more damage to his ego or face.
Kinds of calls from Eddie Cotton. A lot of people are concerned.
During the break, the difference in the state of both fighters was abysmal. Lewis was the executioner who seemed calmly waiting for his cue to enter the scene, while Tyson was condemned to a punishment that had already taken its toll, evident in his wounds. During the sixth round, Lewis continued landing punches on Tyson's body, who occasionally threw himself at his opponent to gain some time.
Better do something. Lewis, another strong overhead right.
It was evident that the world's youngest heavyweight champion was exhausted, but the great Mike Tyson would not give up without giving his last breath. Lewis dominated the seventh episode, making Tyson's worn-out body absorb almost all the attacks he launched. After witnessing the brutal beating, everyone began to wonder how much longer the Great Iron Mike would be able to win against a rival who had managed to surpass him by far.
Getting the big time. It's jabs, he pushed him away. He just doesn't have the power now.
Clearly the aggressor inside the ring.
They entered the eighth round, and Tyson's spirit was already broken. His body stood upright by pure instinct, and Lewis seemed to enjoy every second in the ring against the shell of someone who was once invincible.
Lewis unloaded. Lennox Lewis.
Midway through the round, Lewis threw a left hook that made Tyson kneel, and the referee put some distance between the boxers. It was the second knockdown, and the safety count began. Tyson assured he could continue with the fight, only to be knocked down by a strong right from Lewis less than a minute later.
Can't take that big right hand from Lewis, and Tyson goes down with a third.
With a cut above his left eyelid, bleeding nose, and many other wounds on his face, the great Iron Mike was defeated during the 8th round, lying on the canvas. After getting up, it seemed like Mike's warrior soul had left his body. Unable to stand on his own, he needed help from the referee and his entire team to be moved to his corner. This fight does not define the great boxer that Mike Tyson is, but it does show that the years of glory do not last forever, and if you don't want to tarnish your record, it's better to know when to retire. If you've made it this far, we thank you. And we remind you that the best way to support our content is by leaving a like on the video and subscribing by activating the notification bell. We would like to hear your opinion on this match. We read your comments. The strongest puncher, the most expensive heavyweight boxer, and the best in many other aspects are some of the titles attributed to Mike Tyson. Join us on a journey through the best knockouts in Iron Mike's history. It was September 1986 when Tyson stepped into the ring to face Ratliff. This fight was the last before his first championship title match against Trevor Berbick. Tyson quickly deciphered his opponent and showcased the brilliant technique that set him apart during his early years in the professional ring. After a brief pause, you can see Mike dodge by leaning his body to the left and then unleash a powerful left hook that lands on Ratliff's jaw.
And when you give Mike Tyson momentum, you ask for problems.
Ratliff falls to the ground, kneels on one knee, and waits for the referee to count to 9 before getting back up. It's not until the second round, with Alfonso against the ropes, that Tyson finishes him off.
And there was a left hand, and Ratliff will sit it out. Right hand, that should be just about it. Davey Pearl looking very closely. And that's all. It's over.
Moving on to November 22nd, 1986, Trevor was the reigning world heavyweight champion. By the end of the first round, Berbick had already missed several hard punches and was on the brink of being knocked out. But he remained standing.
Berbick in trouble here. Berbick just trying to get through the round.
In the second round, Tyson managed to knock him down and continued the attack with a direct uppercut to Berbick's jaw, followed by a left hook to the head. Berbick tries to get up from the canvas a couple of times, but keeps falling. The fight is eventually stopped by the referee, and Tyson is declared the winner by technical knockout, becoming the youngest world heavyweight champion in history.
That was a right to the body and an uppercut to the head, and Berbick is down. This one is...
By May 30th, 1987, for the fight against Pink Lon Thomas, Iron Mike was already famous for his brutal power against opponents, which would be evident in this fight. Pink Lon had only one loss on his record, to Trevor Berbick, who had already been defeated by Tyson. At the beginning, Mike's lateral punches were evident, to which Pink Lon resisted.
And one of those punches is going to land. The left hook there. Beautiful.
Thomas held on until the 6th round when Tyson unleashed a devastating series of hooks with both hands, ultimately sending him to the canvas.
Head and that staggered Thomas. And a right hand behind it. Thomas in trouble again. And now Tyson moves in for the kill. 2 uppercuts and a left hand. Thomas trying to hold on. Serious trouble. And down he goes.
The victory was brutal and absolute. Tyson had hit Thomas with everything he had, regardless of the consequences. The showdown read the posters for the fight between these two undefeated champions. This was perhaps the most significant event in the professional boxing world in 1988. Midway through the first round, Tyson threw a right hook to the chin. Spinks fell, the referee started counting, and he got up after hearing 3. But not for long.
Really heavy landing yet, but he's taking them. The uppercut, body shot, down goes. Mike speaks for the first time.
Thanks to a powerful combination of left and right punches directly to his head, Spinks found himself on the canvas again. It took only 91 seconds of the first round for the fight to end. Many of Tyson's opponents were knocked out for the first time in a match against him. Larry Holmes can relate to this case. Holmes insulted Tyson repeatedly at the start of the fight. Mike didn't take it well, and it was quite evident. During the fight, Iron Mike didn't hesitate to showcase his animal instinct in full display.
Never has received the credit, but he was a great champion in his prime. At age 38, you know.
The end came in the 4th round when Holmes was knocked down 3 times.
Larry gets nailed with the left hand, the right hand, digs to the body, goes to draw right hand, gets clipped with a big right hand.
After the knockout, Larry experienced a fainting spell and concussion. It was clear he needed a doctor to help him up. Later, he had to swallow the insults he had thrown at Tyson and called him a true champion, considering this fight as his only defeat. The tough road back was the title given to Tyson's fight against Alex Stewart. After suffering a defeat against Buster Douglas, tarnishing his reputation and losing his title, Tyson knew this was his only chance to reclaim both. Only 10 seconds into the fight, he succeeded. Stewart was knocked down with 2 rapid right punches, getting up at the count of 5, only to be knocked down again around the 1.5-minute mark. The third knockdown came from a quick left hook at around 2.5 minutes. This gave Tyson the victory by technical knockout.
That was a flush right hand.
A brilliant win that marked the start of his journey back to the top. By 1995, it could be said that Tyson's fighting style had changed. He now had a stronger punch and attack, along with being more cautious in his approach and defense. After a period of imprisonment, his first successful fight was against Buster Mathis Jr., who was undefeated at the time. At the start, the fight was quite slow. Buster managed to evade Mike's punches successfully, holding his own during the first 2 rounds. Nevertheless, the third round showcased a series of Tyson's most powerful uppercuts. This sent Mathis to the canvas, and the referee counted to 10.
That right foot and pivot, swing around on your opponent's side, and then cross.
Another right uppercut, and down goes Mathis.
See, he stepped back and did it again, stepped off and around, and ripped that up.
One of the shortest heavyweight title fights in boxing history took place in September 1996. It took only 1 minute and 49 seconds for Tyson to aggressively attack his opponent. Despite Selden throwing a series of left jabs and using his distinctive tactics, Mike evaded them effortlessly. Selden was first knocked down by a left hook. He got up at the count of 8 but was knocked down once again by another left hook.
Rest there, but he has felt. Back comes Selden, and Tyson with a left hook, and Selden is down on his stomach. Steve, there are 2.
Bruce, who rose once more, lost his balance. The referee stopped the fight, giving Tyson the victory by technical knockout. Thus, he became a 3-time world heavyweight champion. By the late 1990s, it seemed like the world was falling apart for Tyson. After a stint in prison and the revocation of his boxing license due to the Holyfield fight, the frequency of his matches changed. He could be seen in the ring approximately once every 6 months, but always against high-ranking opponents. One of these was against Francois Botha, a match for which Mike had only 1.5 months to prepare. Botha had the upper hand during the first 4 rounds, outperforming a Tyson who seemed to lack confidence. The fight went beyond the bell several times, and the fighters had to be separated, causing them to lose many points. Tyson was furious at Botha's taunts, confident in his victory. However, in the 5th round, a right punch from Mike sent Francois to the canvas.
First time punch with both. Now again. But Tyson just showing no speed. Punches. A strike right hand. Down goes Botha. He may not get up. Botha stuck.
It was a brilliant knockout that turned the tide of the fight. Tyson began the new millennium by fighting Julius Francis in Europe in January 2000. Although the European audience was confident that Francis would emerge victorious, Tyson showed that expectations don't always align with reality. During the first round, Julius fell to the canvas twice.
These are hard shots, the body and head. Francis is down with a right uppercut. And he looks very businesslike. This time a big...
After a fifth fall in the second round, the referee decided to stop the fight. Thus, the fight ended with a knockout at 58 seconds into the second round.
Close to a finish now, Glenn.
Yes, it's got to be. Julius is a proud man and he's trying to hang in, but down again.
In the mid-2000s, Tyson would make history once again. He added one of the quickest victories of his career to his record. The fight began with Tyson's powerful hook knocking Lou down, who got up but wouldn't last much longer.
15 seconds. He's through this opening round.
The referee tried to stop the fight, but Tyson was so immersed in the battle that he ended up hitting the referee in the back of the head. Finally, the fighters were separated, and Tyson was awarded the victory by technical knockout. Everyone expected the fight against Andrew Golota to be aggressive since he was known for his rough tactics. Golota was known for the best low blows, while Tyson for continuing to fight after the bell. Mike initiated the fight with his characteristic aggression, while Golota used his height advantage.
Però deve lavorare parecchio con questo sinistro. Golota proprio per evitare che Tyson accorci la distanza.
Speriamo che non sia niente.
Destro.
After the first round, Golota repeatedly asked his trainer to stop the fight. Between the second and third rounds, Golota, of his own accord, stepped out of the ring and went into the audience. Thus, Tyson won by technical knockout. In October 2001, Tyson continued to deliver blows outside the United States. In a fight witnessed by 25,000 spectators, Nielsen was under a barrage of punches from Tyson.
And right, Mike doesn't normally throw a right hand that straight. That was a pretty punch.
He's got Nielsen against the ropes.
After the sixth round, Nielsen, known for being one of the dirtiest in the ring, refused to continue the fight. Iron Mike once again secured a victory by technical knockout and an impressive purse of $13 million.
Very good.
Nielsen's made it through 6.
Mike Tyson, you win. Retired. Mike.
February 22nd, 2003 would be the night when Tyson's last professional knockout could be witnessed. The bout was against Clifford Etienne, who was one of the most spectacular boxers of the early 2000s, according to The Ring. Rumors of Tyson's poor physical condition flooded the sports press before the fight, which perhaps motivated him to end his opponent as quickly as possible. After a somewhat slow start, he threw a right hook that sent Clifford to the canvas. Even after the referee counted to 10, Etienne remained on the floor.
Good instructions given by the ref in the early going. Mike gets it with the right hand, and Etienne is down. He was really...
At 49 seconds into the first round, Etienne was knocked out. And thus, we conclude with the most legendary knockouts of Iron Mike. Leave us a comment about your favorite one and suggest others you think could have made the list.